Good evening. How's everybody tonight? Hi, Steve.
Good, George. How are
Andrew.
you?
I'm good, thank you. And we have Brantford Film Lab here. I don't know if he's got.
I'm
Let's see.
here.
Oh, good. Okay. Do you have any video?
I do. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, you'll need to have that on anyway. To yeah, I know you're going to show a couple of things tonight. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. I just wanted to be sure. Just adding everybody here. Great. We've got a couple of people right now on YouTube by the looks of things. And let's see. Okay. Well, I'm going to get started as soon as a few people show up. I always find that people are like a few minutes late, so I'm not going to sweat it too much. But I do expect a few other people here as well as on YouTube. Not everybody comes in. Oh, here we go. Good evening, David.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay. And I can see here we've got, whoop, sorry, Jeanette on from Mississauga. Jeanette, welcome. It's nice to see you here again. It's lovely to have you, and I hope you get some enjoyment out of this evening's 1 hour photography chat. I'll be talking about future chats in just a minute. You probably already know about them, but I'm going to go over them again because not everybody does. And yeah, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people right now, including the ones on YouTube. So yeah, that's not too bad. I'm still expecting a few more to come in into Zoom, but we'll let them in as they come. And because there's no, again, it's not a very formal event that I'm holding here. It has its glitches, it has its good points, and a few things that sometimes go wrong halfway through, and there's no sweat. So if you're doing a presentation and it takes you a minute to get set up, I don't mind. It's not a big deal. But I do like to keep it close to an hour. Because I've had presentations here that go on for an hour and a half, but that was because the presenter didn't pay attention to my timeline, and I said, like the longest I'd like to have is 45 minutes because that gives us some time for questions. Anyway, that didn't happen that way. Oh, here we go. My favorite lady's coming in. Lisa Marie, how are you?
I'm good, George. How are you?
I'm good, really good. Thank you very much. Things, my classes for Mohawk were supposed to end last Thursday. Guess what? It was a snow day. So tomorrow is my last class. And oh, here we go. Gabriel's here. Hey, Gabriel, how are you?
Jorj.
Yeah, have a good week.
Well, let's say so.
Yeah, that's good. Now, Brantford Film Lab's here, and I'm sorry I don't have your name in front of me.
Peter.
Peter. Okay, that's fantastic. I better write that down because, yeah, let's see. Grab a sharp pencil. Peter. Fantastic. Thanks. Anyway, we've got the clan is almost all here, but there are going to be a couple of other people. Janet's Janet's here from Mississauga. She's on YouTube watching us. So and interestingly enough, YouTube is about 25 seconds delayed. So whatever you guys are seeing, they see it 25 seconds later. So that makes the question and answer thing a little bit weird. It's like, people on YouTube, they're on Mars. So it takes a little while for answers to go back and forth. And the rest of us, we're on Earth. There we go. Okay, so let's see, what have we got here? I just want to get my control panel here, and we can go to next week. We're going to be hosting Michael Nash, who is a well-known photographer in the photography circles of models. And he's going to be talking about photographing models. He will talk a little bit, not a lot, about the equipment he uses and lighting and so forth, but mostly he's going to talk about how to shoot with models, model releases, as well as where do you find models. So he'll help everybody with that in case that's something that you want to try. And then, of course, that's on the 28th. That's next Wednesday. He'll be here. Then Matthew Bergio will be here on February the 25th, and he shoots with film. So he's going to talk a little bit about his experiences shooting with film and what's happening. And Peter, he's one guy you definitely want to talk to. So that'll be February the 25th. He'll be here. I was hoping he'd be dropping in tonight, but if he does, that's a bonus. If not, well, we'll catch up with him anyway. And I'm not sure what kind of film he shoots. Probably, I think I saw some black and white on his Instagram, but I'm sure he also shoots color film. And I don't know, somebody last week was saying, I don't know who it was it Steve? You were talking about, was it C41 coming back and being allowed to be used?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, okay. And so I guess if you're really into it, and back in the film days and the agitation days, as I call them, I processed both C41 as well as Ektachrome. And of course, I remember, I think, Gabriel, it was you that was talking about Kodachrome and being the last person, the last roll that they processed, wasn't it?
Indeed. So that was December 30th, 2010, when they accepted the last roll. So I had 3 rolls left, 35 millimeter. And I realized around mid-December that, whoa, this is my last chance. And I was between film cameras. So I actually did not have a decent film camera. I already sold my Nikon F801, and I did not have my Nikon F6 yet. I bought that 2 years later. But my father gave me a Fat 5, wonderful product of Russia. So I basically went out to the city, bloody cold winter day, and I went down to Union Station, and then I walked up to downtown, and I shot like 2 rolls of Kodachrome, around 72 shots. And I sent it in. I had to send it with, I believe, UPS, because time was the essence. And they said it clearly on their website that the last day we accept Kodachrome for development will be December 31st, 2010. And I'm tracking my package. They tried to deliver it on December 31st. And of course, the lab was closed. So for about 2 or 3 months, I thought it lost. They left it at the door. They're not gonna do it. Around March, package showed up because I had to prepay, of course, and they did develop it. And as the story came later, they had thousands and thousands of rolls to develop, and they accepted them until January 10 or so, and they developed them until they ran out of chemicals. I also ordered a commemorative T-shirt with pull Kodachrome on it and you name it. I can find it while somebody else talks. It's not far. It's in that built-in thing. So the kicker of the story is I got the envelope back. I know there are 2 boxes of slides in there, and I never opened it. I know that there are 2 rolls of 2010 Toronto good pictures in it because I used that FED earlier. I know it took good pictures, and I still have it sealed. Never opened it. I'm waiting for a special occasion to open it, but it's too early. It's been 15 years, so probably on the 20-year or 25-year anniversary, I will open it.
You're treating Kodachrome like it's a bottle of rare wine.
Oh, it's better than that. And what happened to the 3rd roll? I had just 3 rolls. Behind me, you see a kitchen. It's in the freezer, unopened, frozen. Nobody will develop anything out of it. I think there is one lab who's willing to do black and white out of it, but no, it's just gonna stay in my freezer. So
I don't know, Peter, is there anybody that can develop Kodachrome into anything?
Yeah, you can put it in black and white developer, but
Saskatchewan, they do it.
Yeah, but you can do it yourself at home. If you have black and white developer, I think you just take a small piece off of it with the first photo or something, and just kind of see how far you have to push it. But it's going to be awful quality. It's not real Kodachrome, right?
Okay, good.
I think I'm gonna just leave it in the freezer.
Okay. Yeah, that's that always reminds me of the guy that bought a winning lottery ticket, and he had it up on his mantle over the fireplace, and he hasn't looked at the numbers yet. And he says, as long as I don't look at the numbers, it's the winning ticket. So as long as you don't open that film and don't look at the photographs, it's a great roll.
Oh, I know it is a great roll. 2 rolls. The difference is you can only claim the lottery ticket for 1 year.
Yeah, that's right.
Kodachrome will get better by age.
Oh yeah. Well, you see, and lottery ticket, you can't put a lottery ticket in the freezer. So there you go. Okay.
You have to put the whole Ontario Lottery Corporation in it.
The whole lot. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what do we got going here? We've got this is where I was, I think. With Matthew Bergio and black and white film processing and supplies. That's Peter's domain here. That's why I've got you in there, Peter. And hopefully one of these days, I know that you've got something to show us this evening, but hopefully one of these days you'll come on as a guest speaker and give us a whole little presentation about what you've been doing. I know that it's not. Well, I know that you told me it's a hobby, but I think it's almost more than a hobby if you're selling things like Patterson equipment and so on. By the way, where do you get Patterson equipment these days?
It's still being distributed through Canada. I think the sales would be mind-boggling if you knew how much people still use of that equipment. It's in full production. Kodak as well. I don't think Kodak can really. The prices have gone so high because they can't produce enough.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that's interesting. What about stainless steel tanks and reels?
You can get them. I mean, they're all over the internet. A lot of them you can buy used because, of course, they never go bad, right? So
No.
if you're into stainless, I think you can still find a lot of supply on eBay with used equipment. Yep.
Okay. Now, I was just curious about that because I'm sort of, that's what I used to use was stainless. Really, when I started my studio, I won't tell you how long ago, but go back about 45, 50 years. And I bought all the equipment that was necessary to process up to 20 by 24 color paper. It was a wet to dry process. The dryer was there and it went through the wall. We actually had to put a slot through the wall. It went through the wall, came out in another room dry. And we also had film processing for Ektachrome and Ektachrome, and I remember that that process was a little bit different because partway through the process you had to remove the reels, expose it to light, and then finish the processing, right, to reverse the image. So, but other than that, it was automatic up until that point, and then you have to take it out and reverse the image. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the chemical aspect of printing. We had, I think it was a Durst color printer, and was it a Durst? Yeah, I think it was a Durst. But anyway,
I think so. I remember
Yeah.
your
yeah,
darkroom.
you remember the darkroom, do you?
Yeah, and the sound studio. You had a soundproof studio.
Yeah, yeah, we had a video studio, and yeah, you actually came to the studio at sort of the high point of that whole business.
Yep.
Yeah, that was we had 2 industrial units up at the north end of Brantford. For years, we operated out of there, and there was only one, if I recall correctly. Yeah, there was only two other commercial or industrial photographers in town, and one of them, he's still operating. But the funny thing is that all the jobs that I did back then for businesses here in Brantford, Hamilton, Toronto, didn't go west. Interestingly, we didn't have anything in London, but I never ran into those guys as competition. I always thought I would compete against them, quoting against them, but never did. So I know that one of them was really into product photography as it related to grocery store flyers that you get in your mailbox, and for grocery stores. That was his forte, and I never did that. So.
I'm sure it was good money, but you did much better stuff. You did high-end stuff, Jorj.
Yeah, we did, and thank you very much for that. We, I don't know if anybody recalls when Tim Hortons came out, the first rolled up the rim. They had a car and bicycles. We did the photography with the car because you could drive the car into our studio, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, I remember that. And you had
Yeah.
you had a photo of that car in your studio on the wall in the studio.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, if you look straight at the same thingy, it was on the right side beside the door.
You got a hell of a memory there, Gabor.
Yeah,
What kind of car was it?
found the T-shirt.
Oh, good. Look at that, eh?
Chrome 1935 to 2010. Haven't opened it, and there is the date, December 30, 2010. That was the last day they accepted rows.
Yeah,
So when I ordered the development of 2 rows, I just threw in the basket. Give me a commemorative T-shirt.
Well,
if you haven't seen the movie Kodachrome is great. It was shot on film, and it was with Ed Harris. Very good movie.
okay, now let's get back to what I was talking about here. And I just have to use my mouse to get back there because I can't use my... And finally, Chris Atkins will be talking about, he hasn't given me a date yet, but he has promised he's coming here, deep sea photography and his search for a U-boat off the coast of Newfoundland. Right now, as I mentioned last week, he has finished the search for a Spanish galleon in the Caribbean. And I asked him if he could talk about that, and he says no, because he doesn't want to preempt the video that's coming out in March or April. And he says after that comes out, after they actually launch the video on public broadcasting service down in the States, then he will come and talk about it and show the equipment that he used for deep sea photography and deep sea video. So that'll be interesting. His last talk here, which is still on YouTube in my streams, was really good too. The guy's traveled all over the place, so he had a lot to show and say. And he was one of the ones that, like, we went on and on. But this time I told him we're going to have to cut it down a little bit. Okay, so that's what's happening there. Now, what I wanted to do at this point is I was going to talk a little bit about how a CCD captures an image, simplified. Now, the reason I say simplified because it's far more complex than I'm going to present it. But I do this for my students because they don't really need to get mired down as to how many layers there are in a CCD. CCD, what the heck am I looking for?
Sensor.
Thank you, sensor. A CCD sensor. Jesus, I must be getting old. Anyway, a CCD sensor, and because there's not only layers, but there's also a Bayer filter, another filter. So we don't get into that kind of technicality. I'm just going to cover. This is only going to take about 10 minutes, and I'm just going to cover that. But before I do, I just wanted to show you. I have here. I took apart a point and shoot digital camera, and I just wanted to show you that right there is an 8 million pixel CCD. So there's 8 million capture sites on that little puppy, and it's small, and it's not the whole thing. You see the part that's kind of glowing and it got, I can reflect things in it. That's the part that's the CCD, and then you can see above it the contact points where it contacts the motherboard. Anyway, one other thing that I'm going to point out, and had nothing to do with the CCD, the ugliest part of this whole thing is this blue thing. Does anybody know what that is?
Looks like a capacitor.
It is. It's a capacitor. And that's the one thing that they haven't been able to change when it comes to flash, is where to store the energy before the flash is fired. And it's a capacitor. So that's the ugliest, biggest thing on the whole miniaturized board, is the capacitor for the flash. Oh, anyway, let's see. What do we got next? All right. So here is that same CCD array. And I'm just going to grab my little arrow here somewhere. There we go. All right, so that's the CCD as it's shown in the camera. And down here, there's a magnification of it. And so each one of these little squares that you see on here, excuse me, is a image capture site. And that's what captures the image. Now, the thing is, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough. So stay away from the screen a bit, okay? Because I think I've been coming down with a cold. There. So this is the imaging array for that previous CCD you saw. And by the way, CCD stands for, anybody know?
Charge coupled device.
Exactly, thank you. Charge coupled device. And what it does is this is a continuous tone image that your lens projects onto the CCD grid. And by continuous tone, I mean if you look around in your room, you'll see if there's shadows and then lighting. It's all a continuous night, continuous tone. It's not broken up into layers or anything like that. Continuous tone. That's projected onto the CCD. And what happens is I'm going to go 2 pixels over. And pixels is really a shortening of picture elements, because that's what they call these things, picture elements. And it's been shortened to pixels. I'm not sure exactly how they did that, but anyway, I don't care. But if we go 3 up and 2 across, you can see part of the image lands on this pixel. Now, the one thing about a pixel is that it cannot record detail. What it does, it can record one color and one shade. So that's it. It breaks that image down into squares of one color and one shade, as you see over here. 3 up and 2 over. That's what it looks like. So this continuous tone image is now broken down into pixels. That's how that CCD captures an image. Now, I have a question for you that I ask all the students when I'm giving them this presentation is, what is the basic building block that computers understand?
One
And just numbers.
Bits.
Pardon me?
Bit. A bit.
Yeah, and what are bits?
0 or 1.
And what are zeros and ones?
Is it binary?
bits.
Even more basic. What's a 0? What's a 1? What's a 2? What's a 3?
A number.
Numbers. Thank you.
Number.
They're numbers. And that's,
Basically, it's machine language.
yeah. But computers understand numbers. Okay? Computers understand numbers. Hence, what happens with these pixels, they're assigned numbers. Like this. So each shade and each color on a pixel is assigned a number. That number represents that color. Now, here's the interesting part that many of my students kind of say, whoa, really? There are no images on your memory card, folks. There are no images on your memory card. What there are files that contain numbers that represent the image that you photographed. And when you take that card and you put it into a card reader, your card reader isn't squeezing images through the wire. It's simply transferring files that have these numbers that represent that image you shot. The only time it becomes an image again is if you give that information to a computer and say, put it on my laptop. And then it becomes an image again because, based on those numbers, your computer knows what colors to project on a projector, on a laptop, on my screen here.
Okay,
That's-
George, here's a question for you. So I just
Okay.
bought this 2 weeks ago, as I mentioned last time, and can I ask for a refund that it doesn't take pictures, it takes numbers?
Yes, I think you should be able to go in and say, hey, all I get out of this thing is numbers. Yeah,
I
a whole
thought
bunch of
so,
numbers.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, if you get the right numbers, if you take the right picture and you get the right numbers, guess what? You can win the lottery. You're not surprised.
Yeah, I'm an IT guy, I can
Yeah, you're already thinking about it, aren't you?
extrapolate it. Yep.
Okay. So now that's how an image is captured. And that's when you transfer your image over to your computer, hard drive, cloud drive, whatever, it's numbers. And it only becomes a picture again when you put it to an output device like a screen, like a projector, even a printer. And we photographers deal in PPI, pixels per inch. Now, oftentimes, some people who aren't photographers get this confused with DPI. Not the same thing. PPI is pixels per inch. DPI is, anybody?
Dots per inch.
Dots.
Exactly. Dots per inch. So we're talking about pixels being PPI, being images, whereas DPI is ink. That's how many dots per inch you're going to spray onto a piece of paper to replicate that image. But again, it's driven by the numbers that you give it. Anyway, on to the next part. Now, I don't often show people my rubber ducky because it's very personal, so but I will show you guys. And so here's my rubber ducky, and what we have here is this rubber ducky at 100%, and you can see it's a fairly smooth looking image. The eyes look round, everything looks normal. But if you start enlarging it to 400%, all of a sudden you start seeing this staircasing happening, 800%, and now you can see the actual pixels that were generated by your camera. And a lot of people say, is it really important to have like 24 million pixels or more in a camera? And my answer to that is depends. How are you using your images? If you're using your images just on the web, on social media, no, there's no real need for that. There's no real need for that size. But I'll explain why in just a second. However, if you're going to take a large photograph of something and then you want to enlarge a little part of it, then this is what you're going to run into. You're going to start enlarging your pixels, and pretty soon that image doesn't look like an image anymore. It looks more like a Lego creation. So be aware of that. You know, the extent to which you can enlarge.
Or if you're going to enlarge it to a wall size.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So here, this is something interesting. 18 pixels per inch. You can see staircasing on the nose of this guy and everywhere else. Oh, we've got Anka coming in. Anka.
Hi, George. I was actually on YouTube, but I had a question, and so I joined Zoom so I could ask it.
Ask away right now.
All right, so you were talking about PPI and DPI,
Yes.
and how DPI is dots per inch and
Yes.
PPI is pixels per inch. So here's what I don't understand. Dots per inch is easily relates to printing because we print on a physical medium like paper. So obviously an inch is a physical measurement. So
Yes.
so I get that with dots. Now PPI, pixels per inch, pixels are more of a digital thing, right? Like a pixel is, like you said, it is a dot of information with a number assigned to the color that that particular pixel is, ascribes to. So does PPI then only refer to like a digital screen, like a monitor, or if we print something, then it's equivalent to DPI, isn't it?
Well, I think that if we stick with PPI for images, and they are regular squares, right? As a matter of fact, if I go real close to my laptop screen, I can see the square pattern on that whole screen.
Yes.
Okay. And if I'm projecting it, if I go close to the projection image and look at it, I can see the squares. Those are pixels, individual pixels. Now, obviously, well, I'll tell you what. Let me explain what I'm showing here, and maybe that'll bring together what you're kind of asking. And if it doesn't, I'll talk a little more. Hang on. So this is 18 pixels per inch right here. And if we do it at 36 pixels per inch, then it smooths out a bit because there are more pixels along the lines. And if we go to 72 pixels per inch, it looks pretty decent. Okay, it looks okay. But here is what happens, and this is something that some people can wrap their head around, others not so much, takes a little while. But if we go one more over and say this is 72 pixels per inch, this is 150 pixels per inch, what's the difference between this image and this image? And the answer to that is nothing. There's no difference between looking at this image and this image, even though you say, well, wait a minute, shouldn't that be even better at 150? Yeah, it should, except for one thing. And what is that one thing?
The screen that we are viewing it on actually only has 72 pixels per inch. So it can't really display anything above that.
Exactly. So here's my case. if you're going to send an image to somebody, email, and all you want them to do is look at it on their monitor, send it to them at 72 pixels per inch. Because even if you send them a larger one, it'll just take longer to send. And in some cases, if you're talking about corporations, they might even have a filter that says, I'm sorry, but you can't send an image that big to us. Okay, or a file that big, even if it's not an image. But that's the thing. That
Are
send them
phones,
pardon me?
phones, are they not, the PPI of phones, is it not higher now?
They are. And as a matter of fact, some of the screens for laptops too are now 96 pixels per inch. So, things are changing all the time. And that's the one beautiful thing about digital world, is that it's changing. I mean, anytime that they can do something better, they'll try to do it, and it'll be expensive at first, but then it'll come down because it becomes a common denominator for everybody to buy. So all I'm saying is that if you are sending an image to somebody to look at a screen, or if you have an image that you want to put onto a social media website, or if you're building a website and you want to put an image on your website, don't put images that are larger than 72 pixels per inch, because it'll just take longer to load when somebody calls it up on a web page. So 72 pixels per inch for viewing on a monitor, on a computer, even an iPhone. I mean, they're doing wonderful things with cell phone screens as far as image quality is concerned. But again, limited, because it's, I shouldn't say less expensive, but it's easier to send a 72 ppi image for viewing rather than a larger image. Now, the difference is that if you're going to go to print, then the minimum size that you should have is how many pixels per inch for printing? Anybody?
Is it 300?
Yeah, 300 pixels per inch for printing. Now, here's the interesting thing, though, and people aren't really aware of that. If you send something to a printer, they can sample it down, but they can't sample it up. Well, they can. It's, not going to be nice. What happens is if I have a 4-inch by 5-inch image on my screen, it is 4-inch by 5-inch physically, and I send it at 300 pixels per inch, but I want the printing people to give me a 16 by 20 of that. They'll say, excuse me, image is too small. And it is, because it's 4 by 5 inch. Now, if they blow that up to 16 by 20, guess what? They're enlarging the pixels. So if you want them to print a good 16 by 20 image, you should create a 16 by 20 print at 300 pixels per inch. And that's where those high pixel numbers from cameras come into play. That if you want to make enlargements that are 40 by whatever, or 16 by 20, 20 by 24, whatever size you want to wallpaper a room, you better have the pixels there per inch for that size wall. And that's where the high pixel count comes in. As a matter of fact, way back when they had 24 million pixel cameras, a company called me up and they said, we want to have a photograph of this compressor. And I said, fine. And my first question is always, how are you going to use it? Because if they're only going to use it on the web, or if they're only going to use it on a brochure, then I don't have to worry about the pixel count so much. But he said, no, we want a large picture. We want a large picture, and it's going to be something like 4 foot by 8 foot or whatever for a convention. I said, well, okay. And this is where a company comes into play where I can rent a high pixel camera. So I rented a high pixel camera, and not only did I rent a high pixel camera, but I also took a photograph of this thing in sections. So I shot a part here, part there, another part here, part there. Photoshop, put it together. It's one image. The pixel count was great. The printer loved it. Because if I'd have just taken it with my camera at the time and said, I want this blown up to wall size, they would have said, image is too small. And I said, what do you mean too small? It's 300 pixels per inch. Yeah, except based on a 16 by 20 image. It's 300 pixels, but you're going way larger than a 16 by 20 image, so you need more pixels. Now, some people have said that, okay, I can take it into Photoshop and I can tell it to make it 1200 pixels. Yeah, except they're not real pixels anymore. They're fake. They just take the pixels and look around each pixel and give you a similar pixel to make it look like you have that many pixels now, more pixels, but you really don't have the true image anymore. Anyway.
Pixel can only one color and one shade, so
That's right.
no matter
Well,
how many times you divide it, it's gonna be still the same.
Yeah, but what they do in that program is that they look at that pixel and that shade, look at the one next to it and say, we can go in between those two with shade and color. It'll create that. And it looks acceptable because if you look at somebody's skin, for example, you take a pixel, the pixel right next to it is so close. But even though it's close, it creates one in between those two. Yeah, so the file size becomes bigger. And that's something, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. People look at their file sizes when they take photographs and they say, I don't understand it. I didn't adjust anything in the camera, and one file's bigger than the other file. How can that be? Well, it's easy. The file that has bigger numbers in it, more numbers in it, is going to be a bigger file. Why? Because it's a more complex image. There are more colors in it. There are more details in it. If you take a photograph of a blank wall, it'll be a smaller file because there are fewer numbers. Anyway, I think that sort of brings us to the end.
There will be 2 and 3 digit numbers, and the more 3 digit, the bigger.
Yeah, that too. Sure.
But that's the lesser.
And that brings me to me. I think, I don't know if that
Jorj?
answers. Yeah.
I do have another question about the numbers.
Okay.
So I'm used to like RGB, where every color is basically assigned 3 numbers. So there's basically 3 numbers to define a color or a dot. But are you saying that with the way that the CCD sensor records, it's a one single number represents every color?
That's right. Not once. A multitude of numbers represents millions of colors.
Yes,
right?
But
Because
every dot is assigned only one number. It doesn't operate like RGB, where one dot of color is actually represented by 3 numbers, one corresponding to like the R, the red, the green, the blue, right?
Yeah. All images are captured in RGB. And your camera records in RGB. The sensor records in RGB because those are the 3 colors that make up all the colors, depending on the combination, right? So everything is RGB. The only time you get away from RGB is CNYK, which printers who do offset printing, they use CNYK. That's what they like. Because I remember way back when we'd send them an RGB image and they say, we can't do anything with this and don't want it. Send us a CMYK image. So that's the difference. Now, what you have to be aware of is you don't want to be mixing up the dots, which is ink, RGB ink usually, or CMYK ink, being sprayed on paper to make up the colors. Because they're not pixels anymore. They're dots.
So that's a different language and a different set of numbers that corresponds to the pixels.
No, the numbers that the printer gets are the same as the numbers that the image was created in,
Okay.
but it converts it to ink.
Oh,
Because
okay.
and the other thing is that with ink, it depends on what kind of paper you're using, because with any paper there could be some spread. So that makes a difference on the quality of the image.
Mhm.
And I've run into, I had an Epson printer, and I used Epson ink and Epson paper. Beautiful prints every time. What was on my screen was on the printer. Now I switched to Kodak paper.
Mhm.
It was terrible because the paper was different. And sometimes you have to tell the printer what kind of paper are you using. Even to the point, are you using glossy? Are you using matte? Are you using silk? What are you using? Because it makes a difference on how it distributes the ink. Yeah. And I'm not a printer guy. I mean, if you talk to a printer guy, he can tell you a lot more about this, and because I don't go there, man. I have enough trouble figuring out my RGB instead of getting into CMYK, because they're your um, you're combining inks to make all those colors. And of course, you can't make white, so you have to print on white paper. That's all I know. I don't profess to know anymore.
Thank you,
Oh,
George.
oh, you're welcome, Anka. That's great. So, how's your shooting coming, Anka? Are you doing
Sorry.
much
Uh,
winter shooting?
yeah, I've been on and off getting out there and doing some, some of the local birds, and yeah, it's I don't know if you saw my shot on Facebook, but I was focusing on a feeder. A neighbor has a nice feeder that's out in the open, and my I had kind of given myself a little project to photograph cardinals in flight. And there was actually a pair of female cardinals that got into a little bit of a tussle with each other. So that made for a nice dramatic shot. So I was happy with that.
Yeah, I saw that on the feeder or on the Facebook. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a great shot. They
So
were
that
fighting.
was that's what I did on Saturday during that snowfall.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just going to change something here. Get rid of that thing. Um, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let Peter. You have a couple of images, Peter.
Sure, I'll just do a little bit of a short thing that I prepared, and if I lose you or something, let me know.
Okay, you know how to share them.
Can you see my screen or?
Well, I see a black screen, but you
Here.
have to you have to go down to the bottom and click on share in Zoom, and then a window will open up where your images are, and you open that window, and then we'll be able to see it. Let me
We
just.
can make this work. Slideshow. Oh, it does it reverse. How about that? Is that working for you?
I think I'm still getting a black screen there.
Okay, let me try that again.
Okay.
Um, content only. I don't know. Share? Does that work?
Okay. If you did you open it up on your desktop?
Yeah. So let me see here. I think it's going the wrong way. So let me try something else.
Okay.
Mm, mm. Okay, so it wasn't working. Perfect. So now, for some reason, I'm just gonna try this for a second. Let's see if that works. That's not cool. Anything coming your way at all?
No, just a black screen. Now let's do it step by step. Okay. So go to your desktop. Are you on a Mac or a PC?
I'm on Linux, and I'm just trying to
Shouldn't
see.
make any difference. Okay. So
What does
you,
whiteboard mean in sharing?
what does what mean?
So I have the option of desktop one, desktop two, and both of them show black,
Yeah.
and then whiteboard docs. So maybe
What should happen is that if you've opened up the image on your desktop, then you go to Zoom and click Share. Once you click Share, it should open up a window or several windows actually, and one of those windows should be your image that's on your desktop.
yeah, and that's not showing up. It shows under basic, desktop one and two, and it just shows black. It's really weird. Um, so what I'm trying to do is maybe
And try to share the monitor where the picture is. See if you can share a monitor.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
another way.
screen enter sharing.
It would tell us that where the problem is.
Did we lose them?
Yep. I think we did. One of the interesting things about some operating systems, and I know even with the Mac, I'm not really a PC guy, but even with the Mac, sometimes if you try to share something and in the settings you didn't give it permission to share in that program, it won't share. And so sometimes you have to go back into settings, find that program that you want to share, and then it will share. Ah, here he is. He's back.
Okay, am I
There you
am
go.
I back?
You are.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna try it. I turned off one monitor. I'm gonna try something different here, see if this works better.
Okay.
Uh, Is
I
that
see.
working at all?
No, I see your cursor though.
You do.
Yeah, I can see your cursor moving around.
Um, yeah, so it must be it must be a thing, but maybe George, you can just pull up the website caffeinolab.com,
Okay, hang on.
and then you can just move the mouse. That's I had prepared a little bit something, but that's all right. I will have how to make that work in the future.
Yeah, well, usually what I do is if anybody's making a, like as a guest, a presentation, we rehearse the day before for this
Well,
reason.
that would be good.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to go. What's the website?
Caffeinol Lab. So CAFFENOL LAB.com.
That's not Caffeine Lab, is it?
No. Or you can just, if you're using Google, you can just do Brantford Film Lab and it should show up
Oh,
right
okay.
away.
Yep. Okay, I'm in there and I'm just going to share this.
Perfect. So if you click on Film Lab Services and then scroll down a little bit, that's really, I had it a little bit done more professionally in a slideshow, but that's all right. So maybe scroll down to the bottom a little bit and
Hang on.
so just a quick story. So during COVID, I was bored, and so I started messing a little bit with developers, and so the idea was to, how much can we get out of caffeinol? Caffeinol is vitamin C, washing soda, and instant coffee mixed, and that's where you develop your pictures to get black and white image. Um, and then, so playing around with that, getting the right ingredients, getting the right mixture, and everything else, I took that to the next level where film photographers from around the world told me these are professional results. And so that's kind of to the level that we took it. And so for each film on the bottom here, you'll see standard development times. And to somebody who does professional developing, these times look pretty much 3 times as long typically as what a chemical developer would take. But that's what I use to develop all the films. So all the photos, also when you scroll through the website, all of them were developed using this method. And so this is now what I'm also offering for other people if they ever have black and white film that they would like to be developed this way. So it's a niche, of course, but then they can do that, and it gives you a little bit of a higher contrast image from most films.
Okay.
But the resolution is pretty much full. And so yeah, I mean, I've done the experiments with many films and also documented it so that way you get consistent results and it's the same quality as a lab would give you the image. It would just have a little bit more contrast.
Okay, I'm just going to do something else here too. If I can. Oh, can't do it from here. Let's see. Yep. All right. So you guys can see that, right? Because when I bring this up in the, I get. No? Okay. You guys can see that list, can you?
Yes.
It's
Okay,
a
good.
tiny bit sharper if you have a second screen and you look on your own, like open a browser and look at the
Yeah.
website.
Sure.
Yeah. Then
Okay.
so yeah, if you scroll back up a little bit, oh, sorry.
Oh, hang on. Let me share that. Oh, hang on. Here we go. Okay, got it?
Yep,
Okay, so you want me to scroll down or up?
up. And then a little bit further. That's all. Just basic information. Um, and then if you scroll a little bit more up, uh, all right, there you go. So yeah, I mean, if you go to film photography,
Yeah.
so you see there an image that I took in Niagara, um, Niagara on the lake, and there's a lady walking in the window and things like that. So some people say like, I thought this would be interesting because, maybe there's some film photographers here, but if you're shooting digital, there is a certain aesthetic to film that'd be very hard to replicate with digital. I think the only software that truly can do it as close as possible would be Capture One, if you've ever worked with that software. And what I mean by that is it doesn't just put a pixel overlay on it to make it grainy, but it actually puts grain where film also would put it. So it's not like film pictures have even grain throughout the image. The better highlighted areas and the areas that received more light are less grainy than the areas that received less light, and so on. So there is a certain aesthetic and look to that film that often also, if you're doing portrait photography and you have a narrow depth of field, then typically in the non-sharp areas, the grain increases and so
Okay.
forth. So the other thing related to the CCD, you've seen that pixels is squares, film is round or T grain. T grain, especially Gabriel would have probably used a lot of that. If you like Kodachrome, you like extremely high resolution. So T grains and round grains means that an image, when you step away from it from a digital image, it would, of course, a digital image is all squares, so it takes a while before you can fool your eyes to think that there's round lines. Where with film, even though it looks a little bit grainy up close, it very quickly loses that as you back up. So yeah, it's a different science, but very similar in the sense that, of course, when you didn't have enough resolution, it would still look very pixely. But yeah, I mean, so for what I do, I just offer, if you need some film rolls or things like that, you're in Brantford. I also have a very large collection of expired and very rare films that I sell. Or if you need some development services like that, it's nice to know if you're close by Brantford and you need something. There's always stuff in the freezer. But I do this after hours. It's not a business by any means. I shoot also myself for a hobby. If you want to look some of that up, it's petesphotography.ca. In the summers, I shoot a lot of digital photography for the rodeos. And then in my own time, if I'm doing it for myself, I always shoot film if I can. I just enjoy it. I enjoy the looks of it. And of course, the future capability of being able to enlarge it physically. And I think, Jorj, you told us earlier that you also used to do paper enlarging. I just wanted to ask if that was an RA4 process. Does that ring a bell?
Oh,
Or
no,
maybe you don't remember.
I don't remember.
Okay,
I
but you
don't.
still can get that done. If you shoot color film and you want it to be really enlarged from the film onto color photo paper and have the photo paper develop,
Yep.
they still offer that in many places in the States um, to make paper prints from image. So if you
Yeah.
have an old camera from your parents or grandparents, or maybe you just like shooting film, if you ever want to try roll, um, let me know, and I can definitely develop and scan it to your specifications.
Okay, great. Good to know.
I have a question. I have a roll of E4 process film in my fridge. It's almost the same as E6, but different chemicals. Anywhere I can have it developed. if I shoot it.
If anyone could do it, I would talk to AGX Imaging Labs, AGX Imaging. They're in the US side of Saint Sumerie. And he is the original. He was very much involved with the development of E6 itself. And
Okay.
he could probably let you know if he doesn't do it, he would probably know someone who could if there is.
I'm looking at agx-lab.com. It's all digital and AI.
And no, I would for AGX imaging, then you should be able to find it.
Imaging? Okay, gotcha.
I'm just going through what we were looking at before because it wasn't going to YouTube. It is going to YouTube now, so people can look at it. That's great.
Any questions from you guys about film or film photography? Does anybody still shoot film or?
Yes, I
Yes.
do.
Oh, perfect. So, and what is your guys' favorite film stock? And maybe you can tell them the reason of a particular reason why, or
Whatever's cheap.
Film fan, film fan.
Nothing is cheap anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
I was just looking at I went to Downtown Camera. If anybody is interested buying a new film and have it developed I live in Toronto, and the best selection is at Downtown Camera, and they actually develop their own black and white and C41. They don't do E6 slide film, but they send it out to a guy. It's E6it.ca. The guy's name. I don't want to give you competition, Peter, but I'm just sharing.
Yeah, he's also a very, very good photographer with 8x10 cameras.
Yeah.
He developed some
Oh, you
E6.
know him.
Oh, I know him. Yes, very, very well. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm happy with his services. I prefer E6 slide film simply because it's beautiful to look at, and also I can see if the exposure is not right. While C41 and black and white, when you put it on paper, when you print it, you can just compensate. But E6 is not forgiving, and the challenge is to do perfect exposures.
Yeah. Just to explain it maybe to people that don't shoot film, imagine having a camera that only has like 5 or 6 stops of dynamic range. So basically, you have to take sunset pictures with very slight differences between the lightest part and the darkest part of the image. Where negative film, like you're used to from film negatives, they have a much wider dynamic range. So if you shoot film or slide film E6, then it has a very narrow range of light. So you have to make sure you watch that your dark is not far away from your light, and so it's a very tricky film to shoot. But once you know it, there's also nothing more.
Rewarding.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so downtowncamera.com is the place where most people can buy film. I got lucky at work; they threw out a shoebox full of old film, and I was at the right place at the right time. So I just cataloged them and put them in the freezer. Luckily, it was in the freezer the last 25 years. And had some which I don't shoot. There was a couple of boxes of 4x5. So I went to Downtown Camera, talked to a guy, Ryan is his name. Do you know him?
I don't know, Ryan.
He shoots 4x5, and he traded it for 6x6, which I do shoot with twin lens Rolly. And so downtown camera, I looked at the film prices. A roll of 36 picture E6 film Kodak is $43. The roll of 120, which is 12 shots, is 30 something, 30, around 35. So it's brutally expensive. It does help to find time to time some old films.
Okay, I
There's
will.
there's a
Yeah.
place I go to on Spadina in
Is it
Toronto.
Toronto ImageWorks?
No, I go to Grain Nation. It's kind of a newer lab in Toronto.
Okay, say the name because I live close by Spadina.
Grain Nation. All like one word. And they should be able to develop E6 there, I think.
Okay. Now, I'm just.
I think though, Gabriel, like if you, I know you like it for the reasons that traditionally people would like it, perhaps, but that's why I think you might really like to send it one time to Quebec, or sorry, to Montreal, and also to AGX. If Mike at AGX does it, they're using dip tank, right? So they have a more, how would I say it? They have a more stable process for both color and resolution, where E6 that's being sent out by Downtown Camera locally is done in smaller tanks a different way. It's a different way.
Well, they give you a choice. They either the E6 sit guy or they send it to Montreal.
Yeah, in Montreal, I know the lab in Montreal, it's a family lab, but they still use the dip tank technology. And if you want to shoot for like a professional magazine and it needs to be like or very large reproduction, I think they would really maximize that film.
You think that the lab in Montreal is better than the E6 sit guy?
The technology would be more reliable. Let's put it that way. It's better technology.
They actually, the downtown camera guy who I see for like 20 years, Jorj is his name, he recommended to go with E6 sit.
Well, because he's very picky and he's very good, but it's still it's almost like using a home darkroom method in order to accomplish the image. And because he's really, really good and picky, he does an amazing job. Like there's nothing bad I can say about it. But a dip tank is more like a professional lab that back in the day that would have been the professional method to do it.
I see. Okay, I give it a try because I just took the word of the downtown camera retail guy. He's Jorj. He told me go with D6. It is better a little bit, and
It's nice to support local.
yeah.
I really understand that. But I mean, when you're
Yeah,
spending
okay. Thanks for the
$43 a
I'm gonna
roll,
try that lab as well.
yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. So anybody that didn't shoot film yet is interested now to start trying it or what? Lisa?
I'm not sure. It sounds fun.
Yeah, sounds
Take
like
your
more
word for it.
equipment. More equipment you have to
Yeah.
buy. No problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
maybe,
I don't know,
maybe
but
one day.
if some of you guys still have like lenses from like the DSLR, like maybe you guys used to have like a Mark 5D4 or whatever, all that means is it has an EF mount lens, and all these lenses would fit on a film camera that you could buy for probably for a couple $100, and you would be able to
Yeah,
shoot
that's
film
right.
through those expensive lenses and still have autofocus and everything else. So it'd be really fun to have like a bird on black and white film or something crazy like that. And yeah, so if you guys ever want to try or something, hit me up. I'll give you some film for you to test it first. And if you need to borrow a camera, phew, I have a collection. You mentioned Gabriel. You
Eh,
have you have a Fed 5. I have three of those
Well, I have
bottom.
about a dozen.
Yeah. So I do collect cameras, and I have a large array. So typically, if you have a Nikon or a Canon or any brand, I probably have a camera that will fit your lens, so you can use your own lenses. And
I
um,
do.
you do okay. So
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean, I have a Nikon F801S,
Oh, I used
and
to have one of those. Not
yeah,
the S though, 801.
okay, but
Bought
yeah,
it in 1990, a year before the S came out.
okay, but it would work the same way that you would use your digital camera, but you just
Yeah,
load it to film.
yeah. I have an F6 now.
Yeah.
Well,
And for
ladies and
those
gentlemen,
who are,
I tell you, I'm going to call it a night because we're way over time. But I think this is a worthy conversation to carry on in another. Well, next week we've got Michael, but the week after that, I don't have anybody, and I'd love to talk a little bit more about this. Because I get asked this in my class all the time about film because a lot of them are going retro and they love it. I tell them that, the interesting thing about going from digital to film and why would you do that is because my experience with a film camera is that I don't have all the machinations that a digital camera has. It's a simple shutter, aperture. I set the ISO. I might use the meter in the camera or I might use a handheld meter, but here's the key. If I'm out on a trip somewhere and my battery dies in my camera, guess what? It still works. I can still advance the film and I can still set the shutter and I can still set the aperture and I keep shooting even if I don't have a battery.
It
So a
just
little bit
makes
of
sense.
what? Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
makes
Or
sense to shoot.
or what's the minimum temperature recommended for digital cameras?
No clue.
Zero.
Mine
0 Celsius. That's freezing. Anything below that, they don't guarantee it's going to operate. So, film. If I'm going up north to the dew line or whatever, I would rather take film because unless I have a tea cozy for my camera, it's a problem. The only problem I see about shooting way up there is you have to make sure your camera's conditioned for it and it's been cleaned of all grease and stuff like that, so that it doesn't freeze up. And the only other thing would be static in advancing it. Don't advance it real fast; you get static across your film. But you know what? They work under those conditions, whereas your digital might not. So there are advantages to using film besides the aesthetics. Anyway,
And
ladies and
just
gentlemen.
one more thing in
Oh,
defense
sure.
of film. If you shoot Kodachrome, or sorry, Ektachrome, if you shoot Ektachrome in an 8x10 format, it is approximately a 780 megapixel photo.
There you go. There you go.
So,
The big
just,
difference. That's the big difference between grain and noise.
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, listen, everybody. Thank you very much for attending tonight. It was a great conversation. I learned some things. I don't know about you, but Peter, I do want you to come back every Wednesday if you have time. Drop in because we're going to pick your brain. You know that.
You always do.
Okay. That's fantastic. Anyway, everybody, good shooting. Good night. Have a good week, and we'll see you next Wednesday night. Same place, same time.
All right. Good night, George.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, Peter.
Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
Peter.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.